Well, welcome everyone to create and give voice to your one big message for the world. This is some of my most important work that I love to play with my clients with because it's really about elevating our voices out of the noise that's out into the world. And I believe that we all have a big message that we're meant to be taking out into the world. So it's really fun to be able to work and play with this and help you think about how can you really elevate your message so it's thought leadership level. There's just so much message out in the world, and so when we start looking at ways that we get our voice out in bigger ways, this is how we do it. And I've been doing this kind of work for a long time. I'm Cami Gilner. I have been a business coach for many, many years, over a decade at this point. And I have been teaching thought leadership work and voice and messaging work for my whole career. In fact, I had the opportunity of having an expert source program in my old corporate days where we were taking people's voices out into the world to really be at higher levels and really elevate them as thought leaders in their space. And so I've been doing this work for a long time. And to be able to do it with entrepreneurs is really, truly a blessing. And to be able to help entrepreneur women find that core message and do it in a way where we're bringing in the soul of you, which is very different than what I used to do in the corporate world. We weren't talking about soul and we weren't talking about kind of that inner wisdom back in the corporate day. But today I get to do it in a whole different way. And this is fun work. So right now, I believe, you think about what we've been through in the last couple of years. We've been through some big things. We've been through changes in our world. And I also think there's this calling to all of us and all of you who are on this call, because you're being called to step up in a bigger way. You're being called to make a difference with your voice. And I think that women are really leading the way in how we can do things differently. I believe that women have a unique set of leadership capabilities that gets people to see and hear and act differently because we have some really unique gifts. And we've been in a very patriarchal approach to living in our businesses and our lives for many, centuries. And there's this shift. I really feel there's a shift that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs right now. And that means that we need to show up in different ways of being. So it's like really tuning into that core of who we are and feeling into who we are. And then also different ways of doing. And that means doing marketing and throwing out the bro marketing approaches and really finding the genius that we have in each one of us and stepping into it and stepping into the light that we're being called to do. I think that so many of us have come through transformations in our lifetime, and we have all these life experiences that have led to this point that make us perfectly ripe for doing our biggest work right now. And that really excites me. I believe that women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs, and that's what lights me up. That's the fire that's inside of me. That's what gets me doing the work that I do. I'm on a mission to impact 1 million women's voices around the world, to help them get their voices out in a bigger way. And you think about the ripple effect, it's like if I'm doing my work and you're going and doing your work, that's we create a wave together, and that's really, really powerful. So, a new world in visibility, right? I think if anything, that's what the pandemic has taught us, is that there's so many ways we can be visible. We can be visible online. We can be visible on stages. Now that we can be back in stages, we can have our books, we can have our podcasting. We have all these different ways that we can be visible. And that's a great gift for us. It's a great tool for us. And at the same time, this is the challenge, is that we live now in a world of noise. There is so much noise around us. There's, if you go online at any given point, you can be in the mix of just noise going all around. I was part of a LinkedIn promotional pod that was a whole group of people who were like helping share each other's posts and that sort of thing. And I left this morning because I decided it was going down these rabbit holes. It was just noise that I didn't need in my world. So we get to make choices every day. Where do we want to participate? How do we want to show up in these spaces? and what are the messages that we're taking out into the world. And this is the power that we have to be able to say, yes, I want to be in this energy. No, I don't want to be in this energy. And yes, I want my voice to stand for something that's just not contributing to the noise. Those are really important choices that we have to make. And when we start to make those kind of choices very consciously and find clarity in how we're meant to make a difference with our voice, that's how we can really step into really creating big ripple effect. So how do you stand out? That's what we're going to talk about today. And we're going to do this in a way that we, I'll take you through some different exercises, but I also will stop and we'll pause and we'll open up to leveraging the chat box, and you can leverage the chat box throughout. Please do. As I ask questions and ideas come up for you, definitely jump in here and leverage the chat box. What comes up for you? What's resonating for you when you think about who you are at your very essence? These sorts of things. Look for ways that you can just share this with others. And as you start to jump into here, you can, really just, we'll make pauses where you guys can bring your voices forward as well. So this is where we're going to go today. We are going to start with building your brand from the inside out. You are going to, we're going to talk about why that's so important right now. That's one of the best ways that you can build a brand that makes you stand out differently. We're going to talk about elevating the energy of your marketing message. And this is really, how do we show up in kind of that, it's what I call the R factor. It's how we resonate. So people are attracted to us in a way that is elevating how they feel drawn into our businesses. And the third one is we're going to focus on your one message for the world. And this is all really important work to taking your message out in a bigger way. So as I mentioned, I'm a traditionally trained marketer. I've been doing marketing for a long time in my career. And I believe that we're being called to do marketing in a different way. I mean, it's part of this doing things differently, how we're being called to do something differently. And there's been a lot of methodology that's been taught over the years, that even started way back when I was in college. It was like all the things that came forward. And a lot of marketing that's been taught even in the entrepreneurial space, that I am like, okay, I'm ready to throw the rules out on some of the ways that they have taught marketing. So one of the first things is starting with marketing from the inside out. That's a really important approach to building our brand. And we're going to talk about this, but it's really about who are you, your very core, your very essence, this light of you, and how are you taking your message out into the world. Second, and this is the fun one for me, because when you think of me back as a VP of marketing, I would have never said there's no such thing as competition. In fact, we spent a whole lot of time on the world of competition in my corporate day marketing world, right? I mean, we just were always doing competitive analysis. And what I'll say to you is that when you build your brand from the inside out, that light of who you are, no one can own your brand. You are a unique brand when you build your brand from the inside out. So this is a way that we can get into a space of collaboration instead of competition. And it's fun. We were talking this morning about, I was on a group of women that I belong to, and we were talking about, what lights us up? How do we step into our genius? And one of the things that really lights me up is when I get to collaborate with others. So for example, when I do my Extraordinary Women Ignite conference in November, it's a whole lot of collaboration. This morning, I launched an email with all of the different speakers that are going to be there. And, we could look at each other as competition, or we could say, oh my gosh, this is so much better. What we can create together is so much better than what we can create by ourselves. So there's this ability to be able to really raise up how we show up in the world energetically when we throw out the thought that competition is such a big part of this. And this is a favorite one for me, because I don't know about you guys, but I've seen a lot of pain-based scarcity marketing out in the world, and it's ugly, and it pulls people down. It makes them feel not very good. It makes them, be in a fear mode. And I don't ever want anybody buying from me from a fear mode. I want people to join into my programs because they see something more expansive, more bigger possibilities than they can see for themselves. And when I think about when I've joined in programs in my work, it's because I have seen bigger possibilities. I've never bought because of a fear factor. So I'm all about throwing the pain-based scarcity marketing out the door, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that as we move through today. And I'll give you a tool that is a really good tool to help shift that up. It will shift up the energy of your marketing. We're going to throw out the formulas because when you use formulas in marketing, you sound just like everybody else. And I know you guys can recognize that. You've seen, when somebody's following the formula, you recognize it because so many people have used that over the years. So that's the other thing that we want to get rid of. And we're going to say no to the hustle, because when you get in a space of really building your brand and your marketing and your approach to serving your clients in a way that's aligned to purpose and mission, what happens is you get the universe really steps in behind you, and it's a different way for you to show up in your messaging. And so it's simplifying how you build your offer sets and these sorts of things. So this is just a different way of doing things, because hustle is not a way that I want to spend my life, and I don't want you guys spending your life in hustle either. So we're going to start with your brand from the inside out. And this is a way for you to do this. And so this is a good place to just kind of pause, and I want you to close your eyes for a moment and feel into who you are at your very essence. And this is the energy of you. This is the light in you. This is not the roles that you serve. So, I mean, we all have different roles that we serve, but this is about this light, inner light of you. And as you feel into that, what is the energy of that essence of you? And I would love for you to just jot that down. You can throw it into the chat as well. What are that energy of you, that essence of you? Enthusiasm, Sherry. That's nice. I like that. And that enthusiasm, so I know the energy of enthusiasm, right? I know what that feels like. Becky says care. So there's a very different energy between enthusiasm and care. There's the warmth and the acceptance and curiosity that Marianne shared. And so these words are all something that's inside of us, unleashing others. So there's this bright light in you, Adina. And part of what we want to, oftentimes we want to jump into how we serve others, but there's a light in you, Adina, that allows you to unleash others. So what's that light in you that really lights, that comes to life, vibrant and irreverent? I like that. I like the dichotomy of that one, right? So these are really good. And so when you think about this essence of you and that light in you, we start to get into how do you take that into your brand. So Jennifer, I'm just going to grab you because I love this one. Vibrant and irreverent. How can you roll that into your brand? You can unmute yourself.
That's a really good question, Cami. Some easy things that I do are like the color palette I use has this really bright orange and a pretty bright blue. And so it's not super muted. So that's one way that I signal to potential clients and to myself that we're dealing with, vibrancy and energy. I talk with my hands.
Yeah.
Like when I'm doing a consult with people, or right, like I am not like the buttoned up professional person. Like I'm in there with you, and so I try to make eye contact through the camera. I use my hands, I use my body, and I have been known to cuss like a sailor. So we get the irreverent in there as well. So that's.
Yeah.
And even though I come from academia, right, I'm working so hard to not like take that way of writing and that way of communicating into my marketing, because that's the opposite of irreverent. It's like stuffed shirt. So.
Yeah. And that's that's probably unexpected that in the world of academia, they're so accustomed to the buttoned up, smart academia mentality. And if you come in there with a different energy, they're going to notice and they're going to feel you at a different level as well, right? Let's see, who else? Um, those are great examples. How about you, Marianne Blackwell? We've got warmth, acceptance, and curiosity. How could you roll that into the essence of your brand?
Um, well, I think in my, you know, I'm an estate planning attorney, so it's not like I can do the color palettes or anything like that. But I think I convey that when I write about the topics I write about. I always express that concern for others,
Mm-hmm.
and the ability to appreciate all different aspects of people.
Mm-hmm.
And clients come to us in all different shapes, forms, personalities, um, you know persuasions. And so I think accepting of that in how I communicate with people.
Yeah.
um, and the curiosity is just, I can be a motor mouth when it comes to having conversations with people, and they can go on longer than they probably should, just because I'm really curious about people. And I think that listening to what people say, but then also helping them, you know, um, helping them come out with personality themselves. And I think you do that by asking people
Yeah.
um, questions and informed questions. And you can hear, but are you really listening? And I think when you listen to someone and they say something, you want to let them know that you're paying attention. And especially in my field, I have to pay close attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And that just really tuned in. That's what I get a sense of, is really tuned in and feeling into that person. And that's part of, I mean, I can just feel a very safe environment that you're creating. So some of the questions you can always ask yourself about the essence of your brand, it's like, what's the experience your clients have with you in your business. um, my favorite one is if your brand was an animal, what would it be? And so you can start to play with the brand, the animal of your brand that comes to mind, and just go with the very first one that comes up, and be curious about, like, why is that one? Why does this fit my brand, right? Yeah. So this is powerful work, and what I invite you guys to do is to really do this deep work of your strengths, your passions, your values, and really dig into your stories. Get other people to tell you stories where they've seen that light in you, and how, when they've seen you at your very best, and then from that point you can start to really build that into your brand. So this can be really deep work. When you do the essence of you work, it can be really deep work, and it's not generally something you get to in just a couple of minutes, but it's like there's a journey to it. And when you get really clear about it, you start to build a brand that nobody else can own. And this is how you get out of the competitive side of building a brand, and really just to a brand that nobody else can own but you, because you've built your stories, your experiences into it. And that's the power of that. So it's such good work, guys. Thank you for that. When we fall in love with souls, or we fall in love with souls, not faces. So people feel the essence of us, right? So, and you can think about when somebody's walked into a room and you're like drawn to them, right? You're just drawn to that person and you want to know more about that person. So this is when we're doing this essence work, you're really getting into the space of feeling, letting people feel who you are. And you're opening up energetically. You are opening up to, this is me. I'm me, and you're letting your light shine in that full essence of you. That's your soul that you're letting happen. And the cool thing is that our stories are our window to our soul. So the stories that you have in your life, and if you're wanting to connect with people, when you start to share stories in your brand, those stories come forth in a way that they like, oh my gosh, I recognize this situation this person is in. They're just like me. They're not somebody that's way up here, they're like, oh my God, they're like me. I can relate to this person. So our stories are our window to our soul. And this is some of the most important work that I like to work with my clients, is really helping them get their stories out into the world. It makes you memorable. They will remember those stories all day long. It helps you stand out amongst the noise. And it builds the know, love, and trust factor. So many people talk about the know, like, and trust factor. I'm like, I want my people to love me, and I want your people to love you. And so the way you do that is you're sharing stories and you're connecting stories, and that's a different way of being able to connect with your clients. And it really makes you relatable. It brings intrigue and interest. They want to know more about you. So there's all kinds of stories, and I have stories I have stories, for example, I have a story about when a horse's breath, I was breathing a horse's breath. It helped me see the future of my business. I was a corporate girl, so the horse's breath. So that's one of the stories I love to tell. Another story I love to tell is being on a stage in the corporate world, and I was so afraid of speaking. And my world was like crumbling around me. And it's like, when I started my business, I didn't want to grow my business with stages. So I really held back until I had to break through that. So the fear of speaking is a story that I often share. I share a story about how the formulas broke my business. The marketing formulas broke my business. That's why I always say let's throw the formulas out the door. So there's all these different stories that I have and they're story titles. And I actually keep a running list of story titles that I can pull out in different times. So you've got life stories titles in your life. And I want you to just sit down and think of, maybe like the top 5 life story titles that you have that you might leverage in your brand. So what are some of those story titles? I'm going to give you a minute on that. What are the things that what stories might you share when you're talking to your audiences? And then maybe drop a couple, drop your favorite one into the chat. Just the story title is what you're dropping in. I have a story title that is the time the pilot fell out of the hot air balloon and I had to land it by myself. Fire horse, Lisa Pruitt says. That intrigues me. I want to know more, right? So our stories are this way that we can really draw people into our business. And so what I recommend to my clients is to get just get a journal out and start to track all your story titles. Spend some time doing that. Lynette says, the intimacy of my style, right? Productivity mentor with nothing on my to-do list, right? Oh, that's kind of fun. Love your style. Oh, love your style, Lynette. Got it. Okay, so components of a signature story is there's a crisis, a moment that things aren't really working for you, and then you step into this, something happened. So like on my horse breath story, I was in a really big funk that day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was in tears. I was on the phone with a coach. I'm like, things aren't working for me. I don't know what I'm meant to be doing in my life. I'm trying to interview for these jobs, and it's, and she's like, well, why don't you go out and breathe your horse's breath today? And I was like, what? And so I was like, okay, so I did that. And so there's this defining moment that we had this beautiful moment in the barn, and I had this whole new vision drop in, and it started a whole pathway into becoming an entrepreneur. That was 13 years ago. Almost 14 years ago. And so there's, it's that kind of an arc way. It's like this really tough moment, and something happens and you break through, and there's something that happens. And now I'm already intrigued with the pig, the cat, and the boy. Merlin, my mentor and life coach. So, like, these are fun, guys. The boat completely flipped over. Don't panic. Oh, Carol, I've heard that story. You've shared that one with me. I love it. So this is fun, right? This is what you guys get to do. So play with this and keep building your list. So next we're going to talk about how do you speak your client's love language. And this is part of this getting out of the pain-filled scarcity approach to marketing, and really changing up so that you're speaking to your clients, that you're speaking your client's love language. So I want you to think about your ideal client. What are the conversations your clients are having right now? Things have shifted and changed over the past few years, and this is a time to really start to change up how, or to really listen to what your clients are saying, and start to hear what they're what they're faced with. And when you start to do this, you're gonna, a couple things. This is my Speaking Your Client's Love Language tool. You might want to take a picture of this. This is a, you're going to know your niche and client avatar. I'm not going to go into that. So that's pretty basic marketing, things that you guys have learned. But this is the tool down here that really gets to changing up how you do your marketing in a way that is, it's changing the energy of your marketing. You have to know, yes, you do have to know what's that pain, what keeps them awake at night. You have to know that. And you have to know this emotions associated with that pain. So do that work. So if somebody is talking about, I'm feeling really overwhelmed, I'm feeling, I've been worried about different things, start to track these conversations that your clients are, that you're having with your clients right now. And at the same time, start to ask them, what is it, they're really aspiring to? What do they dream about? What's that big thing that they really want to get to? This is where the magic is, guys, is in this third column. And I actually recommend that you start to keep this information with you on, just keep this as an ongoing document that you, after you've had conversations with clients, after you've had conversations with people who are interested in your products, hear what they're saying, capture it. And because this gives you a tool that you can go back to in your marketing. And when you start to speak to what they aspire to, this changes the energy of your marketing. You might leverage a question from over here that leads them into, but really spend the majority of your time in your marketing on what they're aspiring to and what they're desiring. And I will all day long say this changes up how you help people see bigger, versus helping them go, oh my gosh, you add more self-doubt and you add salt into the wound. And, I've heard people talk about things like that. And I'm like, that doesn't feel good to people. So I want you to really think about how can you use language that helps people see bigger. That's the beauty of speaking your client's love language. And you can use this tool. If you just start tracking with this tool, you can do surveys, you can do all sorts of things that, gives you this information. But if you just start diligently tracking this when you have conversations with your clients, you're going to start to have a really rich document that you can pull from for your marketing. So what is it that your clients really need and desire right now? Just jot that down. And then make sure you come back and keep building on that one. Okay, now we're going to get into if the whole world could hear one message from you. And it's so funny. And this is a really powerful piece here. This is this core message. If the whole world could hear one message from you, I want you to really stop and think, this is not about a marketing message. This is an opinion. This is an original thinking. And this, I'm going to show you how you really get to this. So give you some examples to begin with. So we know that Brené Brown stands for courage, right? You can choose courage or you can choose comfort. You cannot have both. So we know she's she's talking about bravery. She's talking about courage, and she's wanting us to stretch. So we know what she stands for. Gabby Bernstein is one of my favorites. And she says, I let go of my need to control and allow the universe to do her thing. So we know she's all about, really stepping into this energy of who we are and letting the universe get in behind us. The universe has our back is her book, right? So powerful. And her work is so powerful. I'm a big believer in her work. This is perhaps one of my favorites. I don't know if you guys have been driving around Denver or wherever you're at, if you come across this bulletin board, but I was driving through Denver and I was like, oh my gosh, there is a perfect one message for the world. Girls should learn history and make it. So we know what Malala stands for, right? We know that she stands for women and girls being educated. And so this is such a powerful statement. So mine, and you've heard me say it already today, women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. So I can build, this is a core message that I take out over and over and over again. And people know me for this. I can get on an interview with somebody and they're like, I've heard you on another podcast and you talked about women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. Tell me more. When people start asking you to tell me more about this, that's when you know you're on to, okay, this is a message that is repeatable, it's memorable, and it's something that you can build out your conversation from. It's a foundation. One of my clients, Dana Kirchmar, this is hers. What if we stopped asking girls if they're good at math and instead started asking what problems they would love to solve? So she wants to shift up these conversations with a young girl in the world of STEM and STEAM. And, she's like, this is just a stupid question. Why would we ask that? Let's ask them different questions. It's much more, much smarter questions. Shelley Shell, another one of my clients, when women invest in companies they believe in, our world will change. So you can see what they're all putting a stake in the ground on something that they believe in. And that's the power of this. And so I want you to start thinking about your one message for the world, but I want to focus here for a moment on what a one message for the world is. It's your opinion. It's your original thought. This is something that you've put a lot of thinking into, and it's something that's memorable and repeatable. You're putting a stake in the ground saying, I believe in this with my whole heart. And this is something that you could get up and you could talk about, because you just believe it. So at the very depth of your soul. And it gets people to stop, to think differently, to act differently. You want them to go, oh, this is really interesting. I want to know more. What it is not is a tagline or positioning statement. And I often ask this in my Extraordinary Women Connect group on Facebook. I often, when people are coming into the group, and I'm really throwing a bone to them when I said, tell me what, if the whole world could hear one message from you, what it is. And so often, if you see what happens in there, is people share their tagline or a positioning statement. And it's not that. It's because it's too marketing-y. It's what you want people to think and act and do differently. It's not a quote from someone else because it has to be yours. It's not an inspirational saying, and it's not a really common statement that you might hear all the time, like, find your passion, live your life, or, something like that. It's too mundane, and we hear that all the time. So it's really got to be something, I think Dana's is probably, I just love this one so much, because what if we stopped asking girls if they're good at math? She wants people to do something different. Even Shelley, she wants people to, she wants us as women investors to think about where we put our dollars. Because if we're putting our dollars into places that we're not really, if we're putting our dollars into companies, or if we're investing into companies that aren't really doing what we want to make happen in the world, or if we're really getting conscious about where we're putting our dollars and investing in companies that are doing good for our world. So, we have that choice, we have that power. So she wants women to stop and think about it. So these are the ways that you can really think about your one message for the world. And so with that, I'm going to pause for a moment, and I'm going to ask you to think about, if the whole world could hear one message from you, what would it be? So you can jot that down. You can put it into the chat box. I'm going to give you a little bit of time here, because I love this exercise, and I don't want to shortchange you on time on. I want to give you a moment to do that. Okay, so Jennifer's got one. When you stop straining for the next milestone and make your inner life a priority, you'll see your productivity and success skyrocket. Ooh, I like this. And because, there's a bit of a dichotomy in this because we're always, so many people are always striving. And especially even, so she serves the academia world. We were talking about this. And, you just think about they're striving for that next level up in academia and saying, wait a minute, what if we stopped and we really worked on our inner life? And what happens then is that's where the success and productivity happens. So that's a great one. I really like that. Good job on that. Ooh, Melinda, women in wealth, not an oxymoron. Does that intrigue you guys? You want to know more? Yeah, that's good. That's good. And Jennifer, and what I'll say to you, and she says, I feel like I'm so bad at this. I want one to be simpler. Guess what? These things take time. I can tell you mine took several months. And if you talk to Shelley or Dana, they would tell you the same thing, right? I mean, these are ones that you start to get the ideas coming out. And then you go hanging on your mirror for a little while. Isabella says, your uncomfortable truths are the foundation of permanent evolution. Ooh, evolution. You're uncomfortable. And I've always liked, Izzy, always liked your uncomfortable truths. And I think I like where you're going with this because it's like we've got uncomfortable truths that live within us, but this is our and it makes me go, what's a permanent evolution? I want to know more on that one. So I think you're onto something good there. Noelle, when engineers and scientists do the right things and do things right, they create positive change for people and communities. Ooh, this is kind of fun because when I think about engineers and scientists doing the right things, do the right things and do things right, those two things, I'm like, when aren't engineers and scientists doing the right things? And there could be choices where I could see that's happening. So I like where you're going with that, Noelle. Very good. Marianne Blackwell, you control your legacy. That's a pretty, that's probably one of those common statements. So I would keep working on this one. Keep going deeper onto this. On us, like what's the original thought that you really want to go deeper with on. So I think you've got the start of it, but go deeper with it. Care for the people that care for the planet. Ooh, interesting. That's almost tagline-ish. So I want to know what's the action you want to take behind that. I mean, so you could it's borderline. That's what I'm going to say to that one, Becky. Animals aren't all fluff. They are here for the nitty-gritty things of life. Our animals are here in our lives with a purpose. Animals aren't all fluff. They are here for the nitty-gritty things in life. I think that's kind of fun. I think there's something fun with that one. The first thing I believe is that women are limitless and can break through all kinds of barriers with design vision. Yeah. And so, again, keep going a little bit. It's like, what's a little bit more with this one, right? And I believe the women are limitless and can break through the kinds of barriers with design vision. Where I'd ask you to go with that one is to, what's limitless mean? Is there something there that you can find that gets people to go, I want to know more. So kind of play with this to go deeper with that. Yana says, girls, let's lift each other up and make the world a better place. Yeah, I think that's said a lot. So keep going, going a little bit. These are great, guys. All of them are great. It's like seeds, right? You're planting some seeds and you're playing with them and you're working with them. And this is one way that I like to help my clients do this is we'll often put them into like 3s or 4s, and they'll start to say, okay, this is the change that I want to create in the world. And they just start talking. And what happens is somebody else is kind of capturing words. So this is a great thing that you guys could do together as well, because it's once you start playing with the words and just giving voice to the change that you want to create and what you want to stand for, some of these things start to bubble up. And like I said, it took me months to discover my own. So don't be really gentle on yourself and know that this is just a seed. But what I would say is what you're building for toward is this, right? Is you're building for a message that is your opinion, it's memorable and repeatable, it's your stake in the ground, that the change you want to create, it's getting people to stop, think, and do differently. So that's really where you're taking that. So good job on it. In the Extraordinary Women Connect room, I would invite you guys to just, as they start to refine, go back into the Extraordinary Women Connect Facebook group and share it. And I'll keep giving you guys feedback on that. That's a great it's a great place to leverage that, and, just to test it out with each other. So keep playing with it. And here's what you do with this once you have it. And I think this is really important. So it's not just something that you have. So when I think about mine, when I put this here, I put women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. That goes into the center of this communication message box. And on the outside of that, I have all different sorts of things that I want people to also know. So I want them to know about how, for example, you've seen a little bit about, when I think about voice, which would be one of these boxes for me. I talk about the building your brand from the inside out. What's that look like? And I would talk about the one message for the world. And I would talk about, how do we really elevate ourselves in our voice and show up? Vision would be another message that, how do you have a vision for change? So I have, as you build out this message box, this is a place where you can bring in facts, you can bring in stories, you can bring in things that you want people to know, and you build this once, and guess what? From that, it really falls into how you land on podcasts and what you speak about, how you land on stages. It gives you a framework that you can come back to time and time again. And this is a more advanced tool than we have time. The messaging strategy is more advanced tool than we have time to do in this hour today. But what I want you guys to know is it's the foundation that starts with this one message for our world, and then the other pieces build out upon it. And from that, your social posting becomes much easier. So, Ariana is my content manager, my digital content manager. And so she has access to this, and she knows all the things that I like to talk about, and she can build off of my social strategy really easily. When we first sat down and she was learning, my message, this is where we started, was in this message box of mine. So this becomes a tool that you can really leverage in your business. And when you have a clear message strategy that has a thought leadership component to it, that one message for the world, it really positions you as a leader and positions your expertise as somebody that's the go-to expert in your field. And it will streamline how you develop and deliver content. So just like I was saying, Ariana knows what I like to talk about. So she has these tools to be able to leverage. And so she can really, go out and do a lot of that. It helps you guide all your visibility messaging. So when you're landing on stages and podcasts, and you keep consistent on brand, you stay on brand because you've had this clarity, you've thought this through. And it really brings your soul clients into your business. This is the beauty of having clear message strategy, is people start hearing you. And I think I've seen that people at this point need to, they see you like 7 times before they become a buyer, so it's like all the different times that they see your message somewhere. You want to have consistent messaging, because if you're scattered all over the place, they're like, what does that person stand for? So this is a tool that really helps you get streamlined into how you are tapping in that way, tapping into connections. Here's a couple of my clients, and so this is Diane, and so she's gone through the marketing mastery course, and she's also part of my mastermind program, but she's talking about the marketing mastery course, which I'm going to share with you here in just a moment. But this is what she was able to do. She's a very, very sophisticated background in the world of marketing and business. And this really helped her rebrand her business in a way that was from the inside out, very memorable. And she's got higher book sales and a significant increase in paid speaking opportunities because she has clarity in her messaging. This is my client Stacy, and when she was saying, she came in, she's like, this is what today's female marketers need. It's a different way, right? She felt like she wasn't trying to convince people that to come work with her, that she really found a way to market and speak about her offerings in a different way that she felt comfortable in, that she hadn't gotten to before, because it came from the inside out. So this process really works. And what I think, guys, is we have a huge, tremendous advantage to being able to become a movement in our message. And we can shed the limiting beliefs that are behind us. We can really step into, you can be in the strength and the power place, right? I mean, you've seen people really show up on a stage and be in the strength and power place. And that's a bit of projecting when you do that. When you start to add the light of you through your stories, through building your essence, through your brand, you become an embodied leader. And that just really draws people into you. And that's what creates movements in our work. And I share this slide because I think it's so important, that I think so many of us are being called to create an impact, to create a difference. And when we are moving into being a movement, that means building our brand, our message from the inside out, and we can become really embodied in our message. And here's the other thing. I think the world of small business is completely changing. The bro approaches to marketing are no longer working. I mean, there was times where a lot of the formulas did work for a lot of people, clearly, because it built businesses very rapidly, 10 years ago. But those ways and those approaches to doing business are changing, and this more feminine approach to business is really changing, and you can see it happening with the leaders who are, doing amazing things in the world. There's a lot of amazing women leaders out in the world really changing up how business is being done. And when you look at it through that lens, it's because they're showing up in their light. They are showing up so aligned to who they are. It's really powerful and exciting to see. I'd like to invite you guys to my marketing mastery program that takes this work even deeper. I can give you so much in an hour, and this is a way that this is a 90-day course, and we go through really creating a brand that is aligned with your soul. We're going to throw out all that pain-based marketing. We are going to teach you how to build the right platforms for your business from a marketing perspective, so that you are attracting people, because you can't do everything. And it's like, how can you build a marketing program that is aligned to who you are and aligned to how you want to show up? You're going to get clear on your one unique message for the world, so that you are clear in your thought leadership space, and have the tools to really have a strong messaging strategy behind you, and have people know exactly what you do and who you do it for. And this is really important, because there's talk about the noise that we were talking about. If people don't understand who you serve and how you serve them, this is they don't know how to come to you and work with you. So this helps you find that clarity, and it really helps you step into a much more ease and flow approach to your marketing. If you're wanting to build a brand that positively impacts thousands of people around the world, if you want to grow your business into a thriving soul-aligned brand, right? This soul-aligned brand is different. This is the energy of showing up in that bigger energy and helping people see bigger for themselves, and having that unique message, and doing this in a way with that feminine light of you really shining, that light of you coming forth. This is a good program for you to start doing some work with me. And this is an online course. Basically what it comes with is has 6 modules. We go deep into the essence of who you are, this light of you. So you will do some of your own work identifying your stories. You will get other people sharing stories back to you of this, where they've seen you at your very best. You will get clear on that essence of you. We played with that a little bit, but you'll have time to really dig into what's the essence of who you are. And then how we move into how do you really roll that essence of you into the brand of you. And we have all kinds of work that you can do that helps you build that brand that's really unique to you. We build marketing from the inside out. So just like our branding from the inside out, we build marketing from the inside out. So what's the best ways that you can show up in a way that you can put your voice out into the world? We get into how do you get your voice out in bigger ways? Which ways are you, what's that emerging expert in you, that one message for the world? We move into that feminine presence, that light of you, and then we wrap up with your visibility. So how are you getting visible once you have these pieces in place? So it's the stages, podcasts, webinars, whatever that looks like for you. And so you get these 6 online modules, and then you have 3 group sessions that will come together over, so these 2 will come back together, and we'll really go deeper into this, and it's basically in these pairs like this. We'll come back. It's a 3-month program. Each month we'll have a group meeting, and then at the very end you'll have a private coaching session with me associated with it. So it's a really powerful course, and this has worked so well for so many people to really find clarity in their message, in their brand, and really from a thought leadership perspective raise up that voice and brand. So the course, the normal price of this course is $14.97, and if you purchase by this Sunday, August 31st, it's only $9.97, and there's or you can make 3 payments of $3.97. There's a bonus for the first 3 people who join us, is that they were going to get a free ticket to the Extraordinary Women Ignite event in November, just $600 value. So this is a way for you guys really to just, jump in here. You're getting all kinds of value. And it's also going to be, it's life-changing for your business. So Ariana is going to drop in this link here where you can go out and you can sign up for it. And this is a really good way for you to take your business to a next level. My hope for you is that I am, like I said, I really am so passionate about raising up women's businesses and helping them find that light that they're meant to be taking out to the world. I'm so passionate about this. And your business doesn't need more tips and tricks and hacks from the outside. It really needs more of you. And this is a way that you can do this in a way that is so aligned to you that it feels, is Stacy said, she felt like she was found a new way to market her business that she had been struggling with from before. So it's a good way to do this. And I would love to be helping any of you with your brand. One last client here, and this is from my client Liz, and this is just, I've been doing marketing my whole life, and it's not a cookie cutter approach to marketing. This is a really inside out approach, and it's a good way to do this in a way that takes your voice and elevates your voice to whole new levels. So would love to have you join me. This is a core part of raising up your business, is this voice, and this marketing mastery really fits in here. When people are in my mastermind programs, we go into the vision, the right packaging and pricing, and how the right work-life balance, and then the visibility piece is we do touch base on that in the marketing mastery as well. And the R factor is how we resonate, this energy of us. So this is just, giving you a glimpse of to where my programs take people. It's primarily focused in this space, in this visibility space. So this is what the marketing mastery really fits into. So again, I would love to invite you guys into joining us, and just know that great bonus of Extraordinary Women Ignite, November 10th, 11th, and 12th. That's actually a $600 value, not a $400 value. And so would love to have you join us. As you guys are, as we wrap up today, I want to say thank you to all of you for jumping in and sharing. Do jump over to Extraordinary Women Connect if you aren't already. I think most of you are probably in my Extraordinary Women Connect Facebook group already. But if you're not, join us over that's a great place. And that's a great place to keep working on that one message for the world. You can come in and you can share. I'm always open to wanting to, help develop those. So that's a good place to do that. And it's all about connecting great women to great women there. So definitely be there with us. With that, if you guys have questions as we close this up, just reach out to me individually. And I want to say thank you for joining us. Thanks for being here, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Have a
Thank
good
you.
have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye.